Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ace Poker. Today we are headed back to Atlantic City, but not for any of the drinking, partying, slots, food. We are here to play some poker. Today I run the tables yet again at Borgata and get another 4-figure cash out. That's right, back-to-back massive winning sessions. Stay tuned to the very end. We win a huge cooler pot. Get ready for some crazy hands. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's go. Wow, welcome back everybody. I have an absolute insane hand for the first hand to go over today. We look down at King Jack of Hearts in the big blind. There's a late position open to $20 and I decided to 3-bet this one up to $75. I definitely could just flat call to protect myself not having so many strong hands in the big blind, but I want to be aggressive and my opponent makes the call. So we're going heads up for the first pot of the day, looking for a good board, and it comes 10-6-3 rainbow. My opponent could definitely have some 10s here, but overall I think it's a pretty good board for me, so I decided to c-bet here for $50. C-betting when you don't have a made hand definitely protects you for when you do have a made hand, so you're definitely balanced, yada yada, a lot of jargon. But after a little while, my opponent makes the call, so we're looking for a good turn to pick up some equity, maybe a heart, maybe a king, a jack, a queen for a straight draw, and no, it comes one of the most interesting cards in the deck, another 10, so now comes the guessing game. Does my opponent have a 10 here? My opponent definitely could have some 10s here, but I decided to keep on the aggressive route and bet $100, double my flop bet, and after a little while, my opponent makes the call. It doesn't mean that he has a 10. I think he's definitely weighted towards some sort of value like pocket 9s, 8s, 7s, 5s. You guys get the gist, all the way down to 2s. I don't think he's floating me with ace high, so we're looking for a good river, and it comes a 6, which is definitely very, very interesting as now the board is double paired, 10-10, 6-6-3. Now, what should I do here? My opponent could have those 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, which are now counterfeit, and king high is good, but I do think my opponent's going to have pocket 9s, 8s, and 7s here a large part of the time, so I do want to bet. I don't want to check on the off chance he does have those little pairs. It's one of my earliest hands of the day. Let's apply the pressure. I decide to bet out for $225. My heart is racing so fast, it's beating out of my chest. I'm saying please fold, please fold, please fold. I don't want to be down $400 in the very first hand. What will my opponent do? After a long think, he folds. Oh my goodness, thank God. I pan the camera over to me after collecting my chips and just, oh my goodness, I get to let a sigh of relief out, and let's head to the next hand. Continuing this hot start, we look down at the ladies, the pocket queens, and oh my goodness, we see an open, but not a regular open, an open to $50. We are playing 2-5, ladies and gentlemen. That is a 10x open. Briefly, I did just want to shout out Poker Chill for sponsoring today's video. If you guys want to win some crazy all-ins just like this one, do me a favor and download it on the App Store. It's free to play with your friends. Shout out to them. Now let's get back to the hand. What does my opponent have? Does he have jacks, 10s? Are we going to cooler him? Is he going crazy with ace king? I have a mandatory 3-bet, but to what sizing? I decided to make it $210. I normally would go smaller, but as you saw, someone called $50, so we have to go a little bit bigger. But nonetheless, my opponent makes the call, and we're going heads up to a flop, looking to see a good one, and no, it comes king high, which is disgusting in two different senses. One, if my opponent has jacks and 10s, it's going to be very tough to get value, as it's an overcard, obviously, but also it's an overcard to the pair that I have, queens. So if he has ace, king, king, queen, which we block, but he still could have, we are beat. Nonetheless, I decide I still have to c-bet here, as I would do the same if I had aces, ace, king, kings, yada yada. You guys get the gist. I bet $85, and my opponent pretty quickly makes the call. Doesn't necessarily just mean he has a king just yet, so we'll have to see what the turn brings, and oh my goodness. The turn is another one of the worst cards in the deck, the ace of spades, and yay, what is my luck? The only 2 cards better than my pair are on the board, yay! But hold on a second, ace? I don't think he's got an ace here, pun intended. Seriously, what is he floating me with? Ace 10, ace jack? I mean, ace king's the only thing that I could think of, but I don't know, let's see. I don't want to check here. I think I should still bet here, as I'm holding 2 queens. I'm blocking ace queen, king queen. I'll still have all the strong hands here. Like I said, aces, kings, yada yada, not going to go down into the list. I decide to bet out for $125, and again, my opponent makes the call. So yeah, I think I'm just absolutely effed on the river. The river comes a brick, and I don't want to check and make it look super, super weak, but unfortunately, I think I have to here. I think it's very likely that my opponent has ace king or aces or kings, and I am just screwed. But thankfully, my opponent checks back. Is there any chance that we are good? Oh my goodness, my opponent chose pocket jacks. Basically one of the only hands that we beat that would have called the flop and the turn. Is it my lucky day? Oh my goodness. Not even gonna say if it was all low cards I'd get more, but whatever. On to the next hand. On to the next hand where we call a raise with pocket fours. We flop an open ender, decide to call a bet, and boom, we drill the straight on the turn. Now I decide to lead out for $50. Definitely a weird line, and we get raised right away from the same opponent from the last hand to $125. Hopefully he wants some revenge because let's get some money in the pot. When it gets back to me, it's definitely a weird spot. I could just flat call and let my opponent hang himself on the river, but the only problem with that is we are out of position here, so we'll have to call and then just check the river and pray he bets so that we could raise, and we would also simultaneously need to hope that the flush draw does not come in. So instead, I want to pile in money now. I decide to re-raise it to $350. And it gets back to my opponent. I'm hoping he goes all in. Maybe we're chopping. Maybe he has another 4. Maybe he has a set, a 2 pair. I'm hoping he has a huge combo draw like 7-8 of hearts or something of that nature. But unfortunately, he makes the fold, and these spots are super weird. Let me know what you guys would have done down below, and we're on to the next hand. For this next hand, we look down at pocket jacks, so we're moving down from pocket queens, but still a good hand. I decide to open it up under the gun to $30 and only get 1 call. So we're going heads up to a board of queen 10-7. Not the best, but not the worst. My opponent in the small blind decides to check, and I decided to check this one back. The turn now comes what seems to be a brick, a 3. My opponent checks again. Now it's time to go for some value. I decide to bet out for $50, and now my opponent hits me with the double check and then raise to $135. What does he have? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Did he just turn pocket 3s? That's what seems to be the most likely. I'm just super confused here, so I decide to put in the call, hoping that the river will go check check. Maybe we could river a jack and cooler him, but no, the river makes it even worse. Now it's an ace. I don't think that my opponent's going to have very many aces here. I'm curious to see if he's going to check or bet out, and he decides to bet, but again for somewhat of a small-ish sizing. I thought he was going to bomb it to $250, $300, and that would have made my decision a little bit easier, but he bets out for what seems to be about $175. I don't remember the exact bet. That's what it looks like. I am really tempted to hero call this. I don't know. Sometimes I just get these gut feelings that I'm good. I think about it for a really, really long time. I don't know. Maybe he turned a weird 2 pair in the small blind. Like I said, just because it's so weird, I'm tempted to hero call, but I decide to stay disciplined. It's not the right spot. It's not a great situation to make money. I don't think it's a profitable call, so I decide to frustratingly put these cards in the muck, and sometimes folding will save you the most money. Get ready for another insane hand, just some crazy table talk as well. We look down at ace king and open it up to $20 under the gun and get 2 callers. We see a great flop. We flop a gutter and the king high flush draw, so I decide to actually start off with a check here. I don't want to bet and then get raised off my hand. I have plenty of equity to just call. Now the button decides to bet $35 and the big blind quickly calls, so like I said, we've got tons of equity. I decide to flick in the call. We're headed to a turn. I'm hoping to maybe hit the flush, the straight, and boom, we see a jack. We turn Broadway, and now the big blind decides to lead out for $85. What should we do here? Should we raise? I don't think so. I decide to just put in the call, hoping that the button does not raise. This will be gross, but he ends up folding, so we're going heads up to a river, looking for a clean one. I just don't want to see the board pair pretty much, and now the river is absolutely disgusting. It's an ace. There's a one-liner to any king. Now it's going to be super hard to get any value from any 2 pair, any set. We're still losing to any flush. I decide to go small and just bet $80. It'll be absolutely disgusting if I get raised here. And after a little while, my opponent decides to flick in the call. I show the ace king and it looks like it's going to be good. And he has some choice words for me. Hear them. It's pretty funny.
That card saved your ass, like I said.
Yeah, I turned you dead. What are you talking about?
Shit. All I said is that card saved your ass. Oh, wait.
No, it didn't.
What? Whatever.
It saved your ass, not mine.
Say mine. I mean,
if the river's a brick, you might raise it. What?
You've never been in front of me ever.
I was ahead of you on the turn. Are you blind?
My point exactly. I agree with you. On the turn. You're absolutely right.
You were ahead on the flop, yeah.
So yeah, my opponent decides to just start coming at me, and my point here is don't back down from anybody shoveling shit at you. Literally just shovel the shit right back. You see, he backed up a little bit, and I said, you know, what are you talking about? I was ahead on the turn, and he was like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. My point exactly. What do you mean my point exactly? It makes literally no sense. I don't care, and he's not done yet. He still has something else to say, and it's pretty funny what I say back to him.
Easy read.
Then why didn't you fold?
You are an easy read. I can't.
He says I'm an easy read, so I jokingly say, alright, so why'd you call? And then after I stopped filming, he said, I'll play you heads up anytime. Sir, I would love to play you heads up. Please let me know, and we're on to the next hand. Things are going great so far. We're up about $700. Let's head to the next hand. Alright. I know I say this a lot, but actually strap in. This is one of the craziest hands I've ever played. I am not joking. I swear. Just listen. I have pocket jacks. I raise it up to $20 and only get one caller. Okay, so only one caller. How could this turn into a big pot? Well, look at the flop. Jack 8-8. Could it get any better than that? My opponent checks, and what should I do here when I just flop the absolute world? There's only one single hand that beats us. I decide to check back. Okay, so still, $20 pre-flop, check on the flop. How could this be the biggest pot ever? Just listen. Now, the turn comes, my opponent checks. I think it's great. I'm hoping he's got a 10, hoping he has a straight, hoping maybe he has 10-8. We could get a lot. I bet out here for just $20 trying to reel him in. And now my opponent grabs some chips and raises to $75. Oh my goodness. What is going on? Does my opponent have 10s? I don't really think so. Does he have 10-8? I don't know what to do here. I decided to just put in the call. If I was out of position, maybe I would raise, but I'm in position here, so my opponent probably will bet the river and I can raise and get a lot of money. I'm sitting with a lot of money and my opponent has about the same stack, so can we get it all here? The river comes, I just don't want to see an 8, and we see a deuce. Yes, the one time I actually wanted to see a deuce in the deck. I'm praying my opponent keeps betting, please, and yes, he tosses out $150. He bets almost the size of the pot. This is great. He's basically saying he has a straight or a full house in 10-8, pocket 10s. Does he have the case jack with jack 8 and just thinking he has the nuts? That'll be awesome. We're obviously raising. What size should we pick? I decide to go massive. I raise to $600. I think that there's no way my opponent can fold any 8. I'm hoping if he does have a full house, he'll jam and I can snap call thinking that I'm just raising my aces and kings and queens. I'm praying, please call. Just think I'm bluffing. I don't know, maybe even just call with a 10. Who knows? After a while, my opponent flicks in the call. Oh my goodness, I show the pocket jacks and he shows pocket 10s. How did I not get all the money? Oh my goodness. Even when we win a huge one, I am just kicking myself. What could I have done differently to get all the money? Oh my goodness. Let's just head to the next hand before I get even more annoyed. For this hand, I was experimenting with some sizing, so I know that there are going to be some comments down below, but it's alright, let's get into it. We look down at King 10 of clubs, we raise it up to 25, get one caller, and boom, we flop the flush. Things are going very swimmingly for us today. He checks it over to me. I decide to bet $25 and he makes the call. The turn looks pretty good, so I decide to experiment and bet $25 yet again. I kind of want to just reel him in and then bet big on the river. Hopefully he won't be able to fold. My plan looks to be alright so far. He makes the call on the turn. Look for a good river, no club, no board pairing, and that's exactly what happens. Hopefully my opponent has queen jack exactly. He checks for a third time. This time I bet 75. I think if this is the line I'm going to take, I think I should just bomb the river to completely confuse my opponent. If I go small, and then bet like $150 or even $200 here, I don't think he'll be able to fold with queen jack. Maybe he's got a lower flush, but I decide to bet out for 75, and after a little while, he makes the call. I show the goods. He mucks, and we are just continuing to add chips to our pile. For the next hand here, we look down at the ladies again, looking to get back into some crazy hands. There's an open to $30 by under the gun plus one call, and I decide to 3-bet it up to $130. It's a bit weird when there's a limp and then another caller of the raise. You have to go a bit bigger, but this is way too big. I think at the bottom minimum, this should be $110, $105, and that shows when everyone else folds. When you sit for a really long time and wait on these premiums, you can't mess up these sizings. I have to get them down. You guys are seeing that right. We won $2,050 today at Borgata. That is back-to-back 4-figure cash outs. I hope you guys enjoyed the hands. As always, have a great day. Have a good rest of your week. Peace out. I'll see you guys next time.